Welcome to the simulation.
Nuh-uh.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I don't think so.
What if I could prove we were living in a simulation?
Do not. Don't do that again.
But what if I could prove it was a simulation?
Could you?
I might.
Prove it.
Well, you know how computers calculate how computers calculate numbers
Yes.
is different than how you do it on paper, right?
Sorta.
What do you mean, sorta?
I mean, you could get one answer and it's wrong, and the computer could get the right answer. You know.
Okay. Well, there's two special numbers that most people agree are special numbers. What's the luckiest number you can think of? The luckiest. That most people would agree is a lucky number.
It'd either have to be 7 or 14.
It would be 7, is what most people would choose.
I've heard, both of them.
Lucky number 7. Well, 14 is just 2 times 7.
True.
So, and what's the unluckiest number that most people would agree is an unlucky number?
13?
Yeah. Unlucky number 13, Friday the 13th, all that. Those two numbers are special because it exposes a flaw in the simulation. And we're going to go through it. So, if you took those two numbers on a calculator, do you have your phone with?
Making me tick up my phone.
Well, yeah, I mean, normally that's a bad thing on a podcast, but in this case, it's good. So, multiply them together. 13 times 7.
91.
91. You got 91. What if I told you that was wrong?
No way, really?
You're not selling your disbelief here.
Damn.
Yeah, because when you do it on paper, you get a completely different answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go to the whiteboard. We're just gonna jump right into this. By the way, by the way, our website is fixed.
Yay!
I forgot to tell everybody that website was fixed. And in that, we've been talking about dating in 2025 the last couple of podcasts, but what I actually have contacted Maya Price through her website, and I have not heard back.
Oh my gosh! Oh no!
Well, I mean, so I'm gonna try a couple more ways to contact her. If I don't hear from her at all, I know exactly how we're gonna sell it, how we're gonna talk about her behind her back, in public, over YouTube. So,
what if she doesn't have YouTube?
She does.
Okay.
Yeah, she does. So we're gonna. I'll try to contact her a couple other so that we can try to get her on the podcast and whatnot. But if I can't get a hold of her, if she doesn't respond, I'll know my answer. I'll know the answer to the the question I was going to ask.
What?
It's like is it part of is what she sells? The things that she says, are they sincere offers or are they part of the marketing for her business? Does she sincerely want a boyfriend, or is that part of the marketing for her business? Does she really want, someone to take care of, or is it part of the marketing for the business?
Yeah.
Because she's either a genius or just, or kind of stumbling through it. And I kind of, given the status of her website, website and quotes, this link tree thing she's got. It feels like she's stumbling through it. So, anyway, back to this being a simulation. What if you discovered you were a sim?
Nice.
What if you were a sim and Gray still plays?
Oh gosh. No.
So, anyway, we're talking about 13 times 7. Now, there may be one or two people that already know where I'm going with this. And good for you. But for those who don't, just stick around. We'll get to the bottom of it. Anyway, okay, let's move this into position. And so we go 13 times 7. 13, 7. Okay, 7 times 3 is...
Give me a sec. 21.
You needed a calculator for that?
Shut up. We don't talk about Bruno.
7 times 1 is...
7.
7. 21 plus 7?
28.
28. There you go. And I'm going to sound a little distant too because I'm kind of far away from the microphone, but well, don't eat the microphone. But anyway, so yeah. Well, okay, so great. I did some multiplication and I came up with a different answer.
Yay.
So what other way can we prove this? We can take 7 and divide it into 28 and see if we get 13. So we'll do that here. So we'll take 7 and we'll divide it by, or we'll divide it. We'll divide 28 by 7. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna can we how many times does 7 go into 2? Well, it doesn't. We're not gonna do that to the poor little 2. So we're just that's not right. So here, I'm gonna give you the 2 and you hold on to it. I'm gonna ask for that later, okay? So 7 goes into 28, or 7 7 goes into 8. How many times? Once. 1 times 7 is 7. 28 minus 7?
21.
21. 7 goes into 21? 3 times.
Yeah.
13. There you go.
Nuh-uh.
Oh, you didn't give me that 2 back. We needed that 2, so... I always forget to ask for the 2 back. Every time I do this, I forget to ask for the 2 back. Anyway. So, yeah. Well, what other way can we prove this? We can do it because what is multiplication except faster addition? Right?
Yeah.
So we can do this. We can add 13 7 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we add the 3's together, right? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. There you go, 28. So when you do the math by hand, the 28 conspiracy, the way it works is like if you do it by hand, you come up with a completely different answer than if you do it using a computer or a calculator. And so it proves that the whole universe is a simulation, beyond a shadow of a doubt, because you just exposed the chink in the armor, right?
No,
No. Okay, why not?
because it's bad math.
Okay. Okay, what did I do wrong in the first example?
Yes.
No, what did I do wrong?
What did you do? Whoa.
It's procedural, right?
Yeah.
So let's do this again. So 13. Oh, that's drying out.
Shaky, shaky.
It's still not working. That's I got a backup.
Good.
Yeah, I came prepared. Okay, it's 13. Yeah, that rate's a lot better. 13 times 7. So you only do what I did when you have, like, if you were taking 17 times 13. You go by the bottom number here. 3 times 7 is 21. So 1, carry the 2. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 2 is 91.
Yeah.
So that's how that works.
See? Bad math.
Bad math. What I did wrong here is this was almost right, except 7 doesn't go into 28 13 times, obviously. So 7 doesn't go into 2, 7 goes into 28. Actually, 7 goes into 28 and even 4 times. So this answer should be 4.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody with basic math skills, and then this one here, I added up all the 3's, which is what you're supposed to do. So you end up with 21, but you carry the 2, and then you add those up, and there's 7. 7 plus 2 is 9, 91. So
Yeah.
So bad math.
Yeah.
But see, in every conspiracy theory, the reason I do that, I've done this for young people, for old people, for all kinds of people. And like when I do it for younger people, they know it's wrong, but they can't figure out how to debunk it. And when I do it for older people, they kind of look at it with a blank stare on their face going, huh, is he right?
I'm sorry, that's kind of funny.
Until I get to the addition, and then they go, well, that's wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe they don't remember the way you're supposed to do multiplication. Maybe they don't remember how you're supposed to do division. Because what you're supposed to do in the division part, you're supposed to say, now, here, 7 doesn't go into 2, 7 goes into 8, 7 goes into 8. When you take the 2 and give it to somebody, you're supposed to ask for the 2 back to drop it down. So 8 minus 7 is 1, and then you ask for the 2 back, and they bring the 2 down. But it ends up, the math works either way, or the bad math works either way, and then and then 7 goes into 21 3 times. So of all of the things, the division one is the closest to the way you're supposed to do division in the first place. But the problem is, 7 goes into 28 an even number of times. It goes in 4 times.
Yeah.
So that's wrong, obviously. So if I would have gotten 4, it wouldn't have proved the other ones. It wouldn't have proven the bad math on the other one. But see, they all agreed with each other. That's the genius of it. You take those 2 particular numbers and you do a modify what looks to be right on paper, and it's not, and of course it's not right. So if you know your multiplication, you know your division, the you're able to debunk this very easily. Obviously, that's not how you do addition.
Yeah.
You don't add all the threes and then go back up and then add all the ones and add it to what you got for the total for the threes.
You should show that to a math teacher.
I should.
Yeah. See how he reacts.
Do you know where I got it from, though?
No.
It's a skit by Abbott and Costello.
Hey, wait a minute. You owe me back room rent.
Now, don't get excited. How much is it?
You owe me 13 weeks at $7 a week.
Tidy sum, isn't it? Pardon me just a minute. Sure. Lou. Here's $28. $28? Give him that old routine of ours, 7 into 28, 13 times.
Hey, give me the Crayola.
Oh, yeah. Here. And do it right this time.
Hope it works.
Make it snappy.
Okay. Mr. Landlord.
Yeah?
What are you smoking, an army blanket?
Never mind about that. You owe me room rent.
All right, here's $28.
$28, fine. Just a minute. You owe me 13 weeks at $7 a week, and that happens to be a lot more than $28.
Well, that comes to $28.
Did you go to school?
Yes, sir.
Do you mean to say that you can prove that 7 times 13 is 28?
Well, it's got to be. Certainly it is, because Mr. Abbott and I, that's $28. That's what you get.
If you can prove it, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will give you the room rent for nothing.
You will?
But if you don't prove it, you owe me double the back rent. Is it a deal?
That's a deal.
Okay.
Do you happen to have any Crayola on there?
Crayola?
Never mind. I got it.
Oh, you have?
I got the Crayola. 7 into 28 is going to come out 13.
That's your way.
That's my way. And it's got to come out right. Now, first, I put down a 7.
Right.
Now, I'm going to divide the 7 into 28.
Yeah.
I put a 28 there.
Okay.
Isn't that cute? Now, here we go. 7 into 2. 7 will not go into 2.
It will not.
That's a very big 7 to push into that little bit of 2.
As you say it is.
We ain't gonna hurt that little 2, are we?
Of course you won't.
So we take the 2, open your hand,
Yes.
and I put that 2 right there for safekeeping. But don't drop it and don't lose it. Now, 7 into 8.
Once.
I put the 1 over here, 1 over there. Now, we're gonna carry the 7 because it's very big and it's getting heavy on my shoulders, and I'm gonna drop the 7 under there. Now, 7 from 8
Is 1.
is 1. I put the 1 down there.
Mm-hmm.
Now it comes. Would you mind opening up your palm of your hand, please? I would like to use that 2. Open it up. Give me that 2. You've had it long enough. I'm gonna put that 2 right there. Now, 7 into 21.
3 times.
That's right. 7 into 28. 13. Good enough?
Wait a minute. You have to prove this even better than that. You can prove it very easily by multiplication.
You mean you want me to emulsify it?
No, not multiply, multiply.
Emulsify.
Multiply.
All right. Emulsify it.
7 times 13
It's
prove
28.
it. Go ahead.
Now, first, we got to put down a 13, right?
Right.
There's a 13.
Times 7.
Times 7.
Right.
7 weeks times 13, right? 7 times 3.
21.
21. 7 times 1.
7.
7. 7 and 1.
8.
And 2 to carry. 28.
Now, wait a minute. I'm still not convinced. There's one sure way of proving this. One sure way, and that's by addition.
You want me to addition it up?
I want you to put 13 7 times on that wall and then draw a line and add them up.
You want me to put down 13 7 times?
That's right.
It's got to come out right. There's 1,
1,
2,
2,
3,
3,
4,
4,
5,
5,
6,
6,
7.
Wait a minute. What's the idea of spreading them out like that?
Well, it looks like a flock of seagulls going to hit the electric poles. Now we're going to add them up, right?
All right, go ahead.
Here we go. 3, 6,
Wait a
9.
minute. Let me do the adding this time.
Good. Come out right.
Well,
A 3, a 6, a 9.
Just a minute. I will do the adding. Then there'll be no mistake.
Yeah?
All right? $28 even. All right?
Sure.
Now.
Go ahead. If you had it up, go ahead.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21.
22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
That's funny because today we were learning about money management in JRTC.
You were learning how to money?
No, We were learning how to manage money in JRTC today because Lieutenant Colonel was stuck with us. That's how he worded it,
He
not
was
me.
stuck with you.
Yeah, well, we were stuck with him. So.
That's how that works.
And he told us he took 4 years of finance while he was in the military, so.
Yeah, you can do that. You can take classes in the military.
Yeah.
But, you know, what would be even better is if I taught you how to do it and you practice it a couple times and then you show it to your math teacher. You go to your math teacher. 7 times 13 is 28.
I could never muster up the courage to do that.
Oh, man. I would love to do it for like a class of kids, like 4th graders or whatever. Because they're just getting into the multiplication and the division. And, of course, they already know addition.
Yeah.
So you do it for all the kids and see which ones are the smart ones paying attention. Going, wait, that's not how you do that. But yeah, but this is the thing. It's a conspiracy that is easily debunked. If you understand math, if you remember math, you can debunk this really easy.
Yeah.
Really easy. So there's and that's what you got to when you're dealing with a conspiracy theory, when you're dealing with an extraordinary claim, you have to look for the chink in the armor. And the problem is with conspiracy theories is that not everybody is smart enough to debunk the theory. Like, okay, I really wish I had I still had, maybe if I can find it, because I'm sure it's archived somewhere. I had a presentation where I debunked ghost adventures. I debunked ghosts in particular. And my main focus, what inspired me to write this presentation, was ghost adventures. And these 3 morons would go around, lock themselves in houses, take their equipment that they don't understand how it works, and wander around places, wondering, "Ooh, is there ghosts? Is there ghosts? Oh, look, it did something. There's a ghost here." Like, it's so insanely stupid, because especially if you know how the equipment works, if you know how the equipment is set up, and a quick Google search will tell you exactly how that works. The problem is if you can't. The problem with doing your own Google search, you may not have the knowledge to understand the things required to debunk it. You may not understand how electronics interact with each other. You may not understand what the device is actually measuring rather than a ghost, right?
Yeah.
The ghost is the extraordinary claim. And if you take, and you have you ever been told of Occam's razor?
No.
Usually the simplest answer is the truth. You take the simplest answer, and that's usually what it is, rather than the extraordinary answer that requires extraordinary proof. So what they would do is, for example, they'd have what they call a spirit box. And what it is they would, what you have to do in order to set it up. You set it up in one location, and you tune out any frequency that has a radio signal on it. So if it's playing music or has people talking or whatever, you tune out all those, exclude all those from the scan, because it scans through all of these frequencies at some. It depends on the box, but you can set different speeds Some claim it's 10 stations a second. Others are like more like one a second. And you can hear it. It's going, and so it's scanning through these stations. Well, here's the problem. If you've ever taken a transistor radio anywhere, if you ever played with it and moved it around the house, you could pick up stations where you weren't able to pick up in the original location, like weak signals or heck, even strong signals. Sometimes you can bring it from one area to the other, or just change the condition, like grabbing onto the antenna. Suddenly you can tune something in that you weren't able to before. And if you move it around the house, you'll get different results depending on where in the house you are. Now, they take this spirit box around and they get little blips of radio program, and as they're moving it around, and you'll notice they get the blips as they're moving it, from moving the whole unit around. And in fact, that's a lot of the Ghost equipment. In order to put on a show, you have to move the device around, or you have to be moving the device, and then it won't function the way, and then it'll function the way you want it to. It makes for good TV.
Yeah.
Or really pathetic TV if you already know how this stuff works. So they're not specifically saying that, okay, well, we're using this device to prove the existence of ghosts. The problem is they're, it's not, the box isn't being a fraud. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But the hosts don't understand how the box actually works.
Yeah.
So every time they get a burp and they say, "Oh, that's a ghost," it said something. They'll get a piece of dialogue, or a piece of whatever, piece of lyric, or and the and then they'll say, "Oh, it's a ghost. We found one." And they'll try to talk to it and ask questions, and it's like, dude, you're just tuning into radio stations. That's all you're doing. This isn't a ghost.
That has ruined every single haunted house video that I watched. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the spirit box is a favorite thing. Then there's this, they use, what was the other thing? Like I said, I really want to get, that'd be a really good October podcast to do the presentation. If I can dig it up again. The other thing they have is EVPs. So if you watch the ghost shows or whatever.
No, I just find them on YouTube.
Yeah, well, but did they ever walk around with a tape recorder?
I do not remember, because that's forever ago.
So there is, in Villisca, Iowa, there's an axe murder house where somebody went and they killed an entire took an axe and killed an entire family.
Okay.
And so now that's why we can't have axes anymore, because of axe control.
That's crazy.
That didn't happen. So, but anyway, this one person killed an entire family, children, the everybody. So everybody claims it's haunted. So I took my wife. Melanie and I used to watch Ghost Adventures together, and they went to the Villisca Axe Murder House and did an overnight. And they took a skeptic in with them, and for like an hour, or like it was an hour and 45 minutes. And so he got to hold the tape recorder, and he leaned over the railing on the stairs, and he just held it in like this, like he was holding a pistol, and just steady. Just nobody was walking around, nobody was moving, nobody was shifting their weight, you keep in mind, this Villisca axe murder house, it's got wood floors. Every time you take a step, it creaked.
Yeah.
So they got out of that whole session of like 45 minutes, and I can't remember how long it was, but it was a really long session. They fast forward through the whole thing until they got to the part where they had the EVP. And you could see the guy shift his weight from one leg to the other. The floor creaked, and that was their EVP. And that was a ghost.
Bro, what the heck?
But usually they'll walk around. They'll be walking around holding this tape recorder. Their feet are making the noise.
That's so stupid.
It's insane. And that's why EVPs have been actually discredited widely, but I still see it in like Phasmagoria or whatever, Phantasmagoria, whatever it is.
Phasmophobia?
Phasmophobia.
Like, oh my gosh,
They're doing, yeah, that thing. Phasmophobia. I couldn't remember the name. It had phasm in it, so, it's like good. But it's in there, and it's like, and the spirit box is in there, and like, they're, the game, but that's where it belongs, because it's all fantasy.
Yeah.
Because and when you hear about the what it takes, if you were to use Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared, you plug in the numbers. So you plug in your weight for m. C is the speed of light squared. So the energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. C is the speed of light. It's a constant.
Why wouldn't that be an S?
Huh?
Why wouldn't that be an S?
It's just it's the coefficient of the coefficient of light or whatever. I can't remember what exactly it stands for, but it's like. But it basically means the speed of light. C is the speed of light squared.
Okay.
So E equals mc squared. You plug all that in. So it's mass times acceleration times, squared, and you get some ridiculous amount of energy. Like, you would need 10 times the atomic energy of a nuclear bomb just to keep you in a state of energy that keep you in a state of energy so that you are coherent and cohesive in this realm, in this universe. So if you saw a ghost, you'd be dead. Because there'd be so much energy trying to just keep that form. Even if it were 10% of it, you're still looking at an atomic bomb's worth of energy just to see a fraction of, just to barely see an image. Yeah. So if you saw a ghost, you'd be dead.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, no such things as ghosts. I mean, the math is definitive. And maybe I'll run through it sometime. But I would need my graphing calculator, which I don't have right now. But
I would not look forward to that. Too much math.
Too much math.
Yes.
But see, here's the thing. Like, everybody claims they're bad at math. Oh, I'm bad at math. I can't do it. Like, it doesn't. You have tools.
Yeah.
You just have to plug stuff. Like, electricians deal with math all the time. They're dealing with at least 3 different equations, but you plug in the numbers, you take a measurement, you plug that number in, and you can figure out, your impedance, you can figure out your volts, you can figure out your wattage, and it's just, you just take a measurement, plug the numbers in, and then you do the math. And it's basic math. It's multiplication and division. It's not even algebra. It's only algebra because you have to find the values for specific, letters.
Yeah.
So if you need the volts and you need the amps, you need to measure, take that number, plug it in for V, take another measurement and plug it in for A, and you take volt times amps, you get watts. And it's really not as hard as people make it out to be. But people get scared.
At least we're in the unit I'm in right now, we are not solving for X.
You're not solving for X. Well, you're doing exponents, and I had to teach myself exponents. And my mom remembers doing exponents in high school. And you guys are doing it, but apparently they said, well, Gen X, they're just dumb as shit.
Wow.
Well, they can't get this stuff. I had to teach myself square roots and exponents. And I did, and the thing is in physics, we did some exponents because we dealt with Einstein's equation. That's a square. But I never learned a square root. Never learned how to solve for a square root. Never, none of it. Like, I that was all stuff I had to learn on my own. So
don't tell my teacher, but I've been using the calculator to graph all the graphing questions.
Well, sure, why not? That's what it's for.
Because
use your tools.
He told us that maybe we shouldn't we shouldn't do the calculator on a test. I'm like, we keep that calculator, please. I would not pass the test without it.
Well, you can download a graphing calculator application for your phone.
Yeah, but we can't use our phones in that class.
Oh, you can't Google the answers?
I wish I could.
We had to do that a couple of times for some of the problems you were dealing with.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't get exactly the answers a lot of the times. We got something that showed us how to do it.
Yeah.
Because it was a little out of my depth because you were dealing with those exponents and square roots and stuff like that.
Wait, so you're Gen X?
Yep. What did you think I was?
Yeah, you're just old.
And I say, nay, nay. The people that I hang out with in the morning are old. They're my parents' age.
I would have called you a boomer.
No, let's not get insulting.
Now, brown cow.
No, I'm Gen X. I'm on the cusp of being a millennial. If I was born, like my sister is she's almost a millennial too. I think it's 1978 to 1980. It's a 78 to 85 or something like that. So my brother's a millennial. My sister is almost a millennial. She was born 2 years after I was. But yeah, I'm Gen X. In the house!
Shut up.
Okay, boomer. Anyway.
I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen Alpha, and I hate saying that because I hate the word alpha for some reason.
Alpha?
Yeah. So many people use that, and it's so weird. I hate it.
Alpha wolves are not a thing.
They aren't?
Nope.
The internet lied to me.
A lot of false stuff on the internet.
I know.
That's just it. Like, you gotta be skeptical, and and that's why education is so important. And thank you very much, Mr. Airplane Rocket Ship, whatever the hell you are. Jeff Bezos launching another one.
Damn.
Making it noisy in here. Anyway, we're nowhere near where he launches the rockets. But well, yeah, that's why education is so important, because it's the Illuminati trying to silence us because we're speaking truth.
Not the Illuminati.
Anyway, so we're doing. So yeah, education is very important. I've said that 3 times now.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know enough to know that you don't know, how do you claim intelligence?
Precisely.
I know that's obvious to you, but if you don't know what you don't know, you can't know that you know enough.
No.
So, and so, yeah, you need to learn a little bit about everything. Just be a little bit knowledgeable about everything, just enough to have a healthy skepticism when somebody tells you something extraordinary that goes against, how you know the world to work. But if you don't know enough to know how the world works, you won't be able to you won't have that healthy skepticism. And the problem is, here's the kicker. This is kind of on a tangent, but it's not all the education system's fault. I know we like to villainize, we like to turn the education system into the villain, and there are problems, and we need to modernize it so that it's keeping up with society, and raise the standards, for sure. But a lot of the times, it's the student's fault.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something you should cheer. No, you could probably speak from experience on this. You started to struggle in a class or in classes. You didn't ask for help from the teacher, and then you started to fail that class.
Yeah.
Now, what would have happened if nobody intervened? You would have failed that class, and you would have been, well, stupid anyway. I don't know. When am I ever going to use this? Same with math. It's so stupid. When am I ever going to use this? I hear that all the time. I took algebra in high school. I've never used it. Well, you've never had a job where the intelligence required was beyond a middle school education.
Honestly, 8th grade math is probably where I struggled the most.
Yeah.
'Cause that was just...
Yeah, in 8th grade you failed a lot of classes. It's...
Yeah.
It's and when we brought this, and I brought it to your attention, it's like, it's not the teacher's fault. The teacher's teaching the class. Teacher's teaching, has a guide and has standards that she has to follow in order to keep her job.
She
or he or whoever.
Yeah, I had a mix of both genders in that. I still do, but I think I have more males than females.
Yeah. Well, once you get into higher education, a lot of the times it becomes more males than females, but that's actually changing too. A lot of women are graduating college at a higher rate than men, and also graduating high school at a higher rate than men.
Yay!
So, and that's something I've been looking into as well, because, what is going on that, what are we telling people? What are we telling our kids that, where they think they can just drop out of school? The three kids now have dropped out of school. You won't.
I won't.
Because I'll drag you into that classroom by your hair if I have to, kicking and screaming.
Trust me, I won't be dropping out of school. No matter how much I would want to, I won't, because I got plenty of good friends, and I do like the teachers.
Well, it's so dumb to do it. The education is free. Well, it's not free, but the education is there for you to have.
Yeah.
It's free to you.
Yeah.
And so, free like as a beer. Like
No.
No, not beer. Okay.
Free like air. There you go.
Free like air. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I suppose that is more age appropriate. But but just take advantage of it. Like learn stuff and take classes and do the work.
I learned how to foil, and that's the easiest unit I've been in.
Learn how to foil.
Yeah.
Foil what?
Equations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Make them into standard equations. And then just leave it at that.
That's useful if you go into, especially if you go into programming or in the sciences or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I've used tons of algebra in my life. I was looking into calculating pi at one point. Pi was just an interesting number for me. So and because it's an infinite repeating decimal, how they calculated was very interesting to me. I love the minutia of it. How there were different methods, and I actually read a book on the history of calculating pi, where they basically they started with a triangle, then they did a square, and then they did it turned into multiple polygons, and they just kept bisecting this, getting it closer and closer and closer to a circle, and they got many digits of pi that way, just doing those types of calculations. But eventually you get to a polygon that has so many segments in it that you can't. That's not practical anymore. So then you need to find a either an algebraic way or a you need to find you need to find a mathematical way to calculate it. You can't just keep drawing polygons till time immemorial.
So I have a little story from today in Algebra Skills. If y'all don't know what Algebra Skills is, it's basically a class to help people struggling in algebra. Anyway, so I was going to go check my paper with my math teacher, and this guy was in front of me. He's like, "How do I foil?" I'm like, this was literally a unit. Skill 19. How do you not know how to foil?
But that's exactly that goes right into my my statement of it's not always the educational system's fault.
Yeah.
It's these dimwits that don't pay attention because they're too busy looking at the cute girl or the cute guy or thinking about recess or whatever it is, thinking about the next class, thinking of not paying attention. See, I was because I was such a boring kid, I paid attention in school. Even if I didn't like the subject, if I could learn something, then that's what I was there for. And that I really enjoy learning new things all of the time. If I don't learn something, at least one thing every day, I can't go to sleep. No.
I'm joking, okay?
And everybody should have that attitude. Like, I make the joke like, oh, you learned something new today. Now you can take a nap.
So...
You accomplished something today. But everybody should learn something new every day, and not necessarily anything that's like, not necessarily anything that's newsworthy. Because the news, a lot of the times you're not really learning anything new. The problem with the news is they don't explain how or why a lot of the times. They just tell you what's happening. They're very good with what. But they don't really go into how or why something is happening. And so you're not really learning anything. You're learning that, oh, this thing happened. Well, why did it happen? How did it happen? Why? What is broken that made this tragedy happen?
So that reminds me of when I was riding home on the bus. There was like a bunch of smoke there was a bunch of smoke coming from behind a building, and people were thinking it was on fire. So,
You sure Dad wasn't just grilling out?
no, it was behind like a store building,
Yeah.
a tiny one, like a nail salon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, me neither. But anyway, back to the story I was talking about earlier before I was so rudely interrupted.
Oh, well, I didn't rudely interrupt you. I thought you were done talking.
I wasn't. I was gonna go, and I even said "and" when you were after I thought you were done talking, but then you just interrupted me again.
So, autism.
No, you don't get to blame it on that.
It's a legitimate excuse. I don't always know when people are done talking.
Anyway.
That's hard. The hardest thing I had to learn.
Oh.
And I still haven't mastered it yet.
So anyway, I just wanted to scream at that guy in the face. I even said, first out in last. You multiply them. So simple. And he kind of just glared at me like I was wrong. And even though I barely pay attention in class, I still pick up some stuff.
Yeah, so you're into quadratic equations at this point.
Yeah.
When I took algebra the first time, I failed the second semester. Failed it hard. Like F, bad F, very bad. Well, by the time I had to retake the second semester because algebra is required for graduation. The graphing calculators were more of a thing the second time around, and I had taken the time to read the instruction manual for my Casio graphing calculator. Everybody in the school had Texas Instruments graphing calculators, which I've got a story about that too.
I think you've already told it.
Well, I've probably told this one once as well. That I was able, for quadratic equations, I was able to write a program to solve them for me.
Yeah, you already told that.
Yeah, so so when the math teacher asked for my work, because I hated writing down my work, because you were supposed to go to every single step you did, you had to draw a picture out, and oh my God, really? You told us how to do it, let's just do it. So,
yeah.
Well, I got to make sure you got the right answer. So he called me up and said, he said, why aren't you showing your work? I said, I pulled up the program and I said, here's my work. And I showed him did a couple of example problems, and I got the right answer. And well, if you can do this, then you know this subject better than I do. I passed the class with a B plus average. I didn't like to do the daily work, but
whatever happened to letter grades? I'm serious.
You're in high school. You should have letter grades.
We don't. Whenever they mark a paper, it's either this number out of this number. I'm like, what?
So you're supposed to do your own math to figure out your own percentage?
Yeah. Then of course, my math teacher, he has a whole different way on grading us on quizzes
Does he
or
grade on a
skill
curve?
checks. No, what?
Does he grade on a curve? So basically, when they grade on a curve, it's been dying off for decades now. Most you'll see it more in college than you would in high school, but what they do is they take the lowest grade and they take the highest grade, and no matter what, how you fall in that curve is how you get. If you're in the upper percentile, you get a higher grade. If you're in the lower percentile, you get a lower grade. So if everybody's like, if everybody's getting 95% on the test, and there's a few others that are getting lower scores, and there's one kid that's got 50%, as long as you're getting, if you get 85%, you still get an A. You don't get a B. You actually get a higher grade. But the curve can also work against you, because if everybody's getting a high grade, which never happens, then and you get a lower grade, you could be the bottom of the class. You'd be getting an F, even though you got most of them right. You got a majority of them right. You could get like 70% on a test and have an F.
Okay, so he does not grade like that. Instead, the highest points we can get on a quiz, not a test, because that's different, is a 5 in each skill. I forgot the word for a second, okay? You can get like a highest 5 of each skill. And if you get another 5 the second time that you take that one skill, you get a 6. Make that make sense.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I know, but you're also talking to a guy that just forgot the word calculus a few moments ago, because when I was trying to say algebra and that other thing that Newton invented. That's all I could think about. It's like that math stuff that Newton invented. You either need to do an algebraic way or a I was trying to be smart, and I completely tripped over the carpet. Fell flat on my face there, but yeah, but I guess, I mean, this is more or less been I wanted to talk more about conspiracy theories, but really this has been another reason why you should have, you should be learning stuff. And there's some places that do these have these online courses that they'll sponsor YouTube creators and whatnot, but for example, Brilliant, but they don't sponsor us, so I'm not going to do an ad for them. But it's just, you've seen them, and it's a great way for average people to understand. In fact, I was thinking about getting a subscription to something in order to help Mom with her math, because she says, she told me that I offered to help her, and she says, I don't want you to help me. I've seen the way you do it with the kids. Yeah, but the kids have just learned this. It's fresh in their minds. So I'm not going to, the way I teach them is a different way that I would teach an adult that hasn't been in it for years and years and years. It's the way I teach to help with homework with like April or you. It's like, you just learned this. You had to have picked something up. So I basically throw you in the deep end to see if you can sink or swim.
To see if you can sink.
Yeah, see if you can sink. See if you can swim. And And if you start to sink, then I can help out. But if you already know it, there's no sense helping you with the homework you already know how to do. You know?
Yeah.
The way I teach people changes with the person.
Yeah.
You know, I do it for living.
So like if I were to like go back to a skill that I haven't just learned, you'd like help me with that?
It would be different. Yeah, because the teaching method would be different.
Yeah.
I need to see how much you know, because I'm not going to sit there and put time and effort into something you already know.
Yeah. I know how to do skill 19. It's just the graphing that's the problem with it. I know how to foil and stuff like that. So. I don't know what I was going there for there, but...
I don't know, it works. But so... That sounded like thunder.
Oh, yay.
Anyway, but yeah, so it's different for different people. But I do it for a living, and I teach people of all different shapes and sizes and intelligence levels, and you know, how I teach one person doesn't mean that I teach everybody the same way. But
yeah,
I suppose we've padded this one out to about an hour, so
an hour and 3 minutes.
An hour and 3 minutes.
Yeah, if you want to get specific.
Okay. So yeah, I've been. Just stay skeptical and keep learning things, and rely on the people who know more than you do to debunk things that you can't debunk yourself. You just there are limits to what I can debunk, and I rely on material experts and smarter people to help me understand things that are at the edge of my knowledge, and then it furthers my knowledge as well. So yeah, don't just believe anybody at any time. It's a crazy world out there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I've been Mr. Gigabytes, and
his sidekick Serenity.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.